What's up? What's up? We are waiting on a few more people so that we can get this party started. What's up? What's up? We are waiting on a few more people so that we can get this party started. What's up? What's up? We are waiting on a few more people so that we can get this party started. What's up? What's up? Danette, good afternoon. I'm glad I'm on too. I miss you guys. I miss you. How have you guys been? That's good to hear. It's very good to hear. What is happening? Yeah, right. Uh, there is obviously a whole lot happening, but one second, I gotta mute this. Okay, sorry. Looking at the looking at my some of the things happening. Um, so basically, Danette, there is not much difference, but it's just the trend that we're in that is dictating this. You know, you guys have been seeing the videos that I've been uploading, and you're being prepared for this. You know, like at least from my end, many of the other platforms, while I give respects to all, unfortunately, they are themselves in the same. They're viewing this just as you are. The only difference that they have is that they have a platform, but they're really doing the same thing. I mean, some are doing some good DD work and um, researching what's happening behind closed doors. But at the end of the day, like those guys, like at least I tip my hats off to the guys that are at least doing some DD. But the ones that are out there just rallying things out, like I was looking at one today, and I'm not going to mention it, and they're over there talking about starting a like to go and do act on it and do something and stuff like that. I mean, again, um, I'm totally against. Let me just be clear about my position on this, Danette. I'm totally against doing any sorts of acts of whether violence or standing up or whatever to try to get this thing to move, because clearly someone, and they are in this case, are provoking us to try to do something so they can get this off their chests. I mean, the only thing that could get these guys out of this mess is if the stock gets pulled, simply because there's a lot of violence happening or a lot of craziness. Because we know that anything starts out peaceful, at some point, some person would like some moles will be put in to try to force some crazy things to happen, like, you know, to make it from peaceful to go to a violent push and a stand. So therefore it's very dangerous to listen to some of those guys that are the same thing as the viewer. The only difference they have is just they have a platform, and for some odd reason they captured thousands of people's subscription, and I don't know how, but you know, it happened. I don't know from what, um, but it happened, and now people are following it. I don't want them to be led astray, because we do know at least one thing. I'll tell you this: if this thing gets pulled off the stock market, and because of violent reasons or whatever reasons, for, you know how they come up with this, with the talk about, oh, we need to save the common investor and the best interest of the American investor and all that stuff. But when they pull it off to the side, you're talking about courts. In this case, I would rather say, I would rather say that, yeah, do I think it's planted? Of course. Um, you know, these people would love to say, like, you know, they've already been planted. They've been doing that since day one. You know, they infiltrated Reddit, they infiltrated the YouTube channels, and some of the YouTubers, the ones that they see are influencer, you know, like to the point where they're influencing many people. So, yeah, there's been a lot of plantation and buying out and a lot of moles left and right, guys. Um, so at the end of the day, if this thing, just a simple question back to you. Let's think of this. And by the way, guys, please like the video so we can push it out to more and more people. Um, so if I ask you this question, if this thing, hypothetically speaking, was to go to court, okay, what would you what would you think would be the outcome? Do you think it's going to take years for it to be solved? Do you think it will be solved fairly? What do you think? Just give me your thoughts. What do you think will happen if this thing was to go to court, Danette? I'll give you a little bit to, you know, sort things out. Okay. Um, that's see, that's the crazy thing. It's the fact that is that most people would not know, but we would like to think, you know, that it's gonna be, you know, they're gonna do the right thing. Well, obviously, in this case, if this thing goes to court, they would have the upper hand because they have way more money to carry this on. They have so many of the best lawyers to try to take care of this and try to push it longer. We barely are dragging on a year, um, and still trying to move forward positively. Imagine if this thing goes to a court and obviously goes for many years down the line. People will, by then, I mean, that could easily be something that they would want, you know, because that would be the ultimate. I can't hold this longer. Uh, for that many, you know what I'm saying? And if it goes down that aisle, so I don't want it to go down that aisle. And the only way that that does not go down that aisle is if obviously people do not do no crazy stuff and go out there and start, you know, ripping things, or, you know, trying to attack or threaten certain people and whatnot. I understand how frustrating it is, guys. Like how frustrating it is to hold in this. But as I made in those videos that I uploaded before I went live, I those videos, like, it was very clear to tell you that there is ways for you to adapt. And clearly, you look at the market every day, there are pump and dump stocks. If you're that's not for you, you're not a day trader, then at least there is the one of the videos I made talking about strategies you could follow around earnings. You know, and there's always every once in a while, obviously every week, um, or every other other week, there's always somebody reporting something, obviously. There is strategies. You just have to educate yourself on what strategy you can use, you know. And I made it clear with the whole straddle form of how to go about playing something different. You don't see anybody making content about that. In fact, if they say anything about, I know for a fact, like there's very little, very, very little talking about any options because they themselves are too afraid to get into it with the war, inflation, etc. Yes. So here's the thing, Danette. With the war and the inflation and how it's going, I anticipate that in 2 days, obviously, the Fed have that decision to make. There's a high chance, as always, that they were going to drop any, um, you know, uh, add on to the BPPs, and make it finally true and drop 25 to 50 or percent, zero point 0.5 or 0.25. But the problem is that they've done this and so many times in the past, and they have not, you know, went through with it. They will just say, okay, we think that it's transitory, and push it down the line, push it down, kick the can down the line even longer and longer. Um, Obviously, in this case, giving more time to the guys that we're battling to do what they got to do. Um, if they do drop that, then you're going to anticipate a much harder drop than what we've seen today throughout the market. And that would be good. I want that to happen. Honestly, like with the bottom of my heart, I want that to happen. Terrell Parker, how much do you think they are losing in a day? Well, Terrell, that's a very good question, but it's also a very good guess question because their portfolios are all scattered all across like the whole market. It's not just like one play or two plays. Yeah, don't worry, I got it. I got you, Terrell. Um, it's not just one or two plays. They're into everything, and I can tell you this: the only thing that they're 100% constantly just profiting on is crypto, because I guarantee, like, I personally believe I probably the only one that have said this, but said that the theory that I've made in my previous videos about crypto, why it's been pumping, and never dropping below the 52-week low as of yet still, is because they're the ones who took it off from there all the way to the levels that we see it in today. You have, and I've explained in those previous videos how they pushed the cryptos over to these days on two different pumps. Um, so that's the only thing, but everything else they're not necessarily winning on. They're losing crazy. And forget not just the meme stocks, guys. Look at the Amazon, how they're trying their best to keep it at least above the 52-week low, when that's not working. Obviously, if you look around, you'll see like the S&P 500 is falling and is gonna eventually meet its. I mean, they as of today, the S&P 500 entered into a death cross. And normally that's when they say, okay, when a death cross enters, you should think about long-term stocks, because you're gonna have, like, basically what they're saying, that it dropped so low to the point where now you have nowhere to go but up. Now, here's the thing about that. That's what they're advising you on the in as far as that's what the death cross means in the, like in those markets. But here's the thing: what they're not preparing you for. What if the death cross is still not even death itself? Like, this thing can go much, much, much lower if, due to the situation that we're in, the inflation, the war, not dealing with the inflation much, much, much sooner. China situation that everybody seems to keep forgetting about, as far as the Evergrande situation and many, many other things, including the nickel short. As far as I heard, that JP Morgan somehow escaped with this, and that's to be expected. Again, these are guys that invented the stock market. I mean, and I'm not making a claim, like, no, they literally invented the stock market in a way. If you know JP Morgan's history and story back in the days when it was like the original guy was back in 18 something, 1889 or something, and then it officially started taking off in the early 1900s. And they literally created the Federal Reserve System. So these guys have basically a lot of lobbying and a lot of help here and there. Um, So with these guys basically doing what they got to do and somehow giving that Chinese investor some work and like telling him you can get away, you don't have to pay off all this. We made something like they made some sort of arrangement. You no longer have to pay this for now, at least. And whatever that arrangement was not disclosed, even though it's supposed to be billions and catastrophic billions of dollars that that person has to pay. It was like that Zhang person in China who was on the caught up on that short against nickel, and they allowed him on top of all that to release some of his positions slowly so that he does not so like he basically by the time that they say okay now you have to pay, he probably would have escaped with so much of his position. It's kind of like you rob them. I know that you took from me. This is me giving you an example. It's like I lend you the money, you short it, you got screwed. Okay, well there's still a way to save this because we both are still friends. Go ahead. Here you go. Here's the here. We're not gonna margin you. Screw them up this way, this way, this way, this way. You get you get out of this hook. I get paid. Bunch of these guys get screwed and they start screaming and crying. Hopefully that answers the question on what was it, Terrell? Yeah. They're basically losing a lot, brother. That's the long answer to that question. Guys, please like the video so that we can push to more people and get more people in. How much do you think they are? What do you of selling calls on these plays? Like Dinette, you mean like going short? Like selling short calls? Or you mean like buying calls to expecting them to go up? Boo Marley, welcome to the channel. I have not seen you before. Please, Boo, like the video or subscribe to the channel. The only way it squeeze is if we sell because they need the shares, right? So it's kind of like who jump off the cliff first. Yeah, the cliff first. Did this. They did this for a year. Obviously, they figured out a way to handle this. Well, yeah, Boo. Clearly, that's the objective. Hold, because that's when it will squeeze. Now, with this nickel situation that just happened today, this should put a lot of alarms in your guys' heads, because here's the thing. That happened. This happened across, not like in the US, but it happened overseas, and you saw how they just handled it, and I just laid out how they handled it. Imagine, I can only tell why all this thing is being delayed, because this would have been the case for us had this happened back in January or June of 2021, because they simply were not, like, these big players were just simply not going to pay for this. The idea that I was always saying in my videos that they are paying for this small ass from the community, through the community, by doing, because of this, simply literally by doing this, they're gonna continue to drag this out. As you know, we could be obviously closer than ever now, but if you look at the repo and reverse repo operations, you see that obviously we're stuck around that 1.6 to 1.7 trillion daily transactions back and forth. Now, if we believe, obviously, we just saw what JP did with that Chinese guy, and the whole nickel short situation. Guess what? He basically is going to escape, in a way, unscathed from this, and he will keep most of his wealth. That aging guy. Now, that stuff cannot happen lawfully in the U.S. They can't just come out and say, okay, we're going to allow you to do this, and you can go ahead and forget about your margin and forget about who you have to pay out, even though you don't have the money. You still don't worry about that. Like, they can't do that here, and that's why they've been delaying this situation, because they can't use that tactic they use out there here. So when it becomes time, you'll see all money will be ready, whether it's coming out of the players themselves, whether it's coming out of the DTCC, the feds, whoever, whether it's coming out of the desert's treasure, hidden treasure, wherever it's coming from. the money is going to be there, and this thing is going to play out. Now, how high will it go? Of course, governments could at any given time. Sorry, I was getting a call. Governments can at any time, obviously, in this case, interfere and say, hey, for example, at that level or whatever level it is, uh, that's it. That person is so rude. They're calling me nonstop, and uh, okay. Um, yeah, and then say that this is too crazy for the economy and for the greater good of the play and the stock market itself and the American citizens, all that spiel. And then eventually, kind of put it on hold and say, hey, you can't hold past whatever that level is. Now, what that number is, we'll see. We're definitely going to see. Terrell Parker said puts. Puts to what? Like buying puts, selling calls. Oh, the net. So selling call on the shares you own. Yeah. Here's the thing. The risk. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor, Danette, so I can't tell you obviously or anyone what to do on that. But here's the thing. I will explain. When you do that, you're risking obviously one thing. If this thing goes up and you're sold your calls, then you basically are going to lose all those shares, and you're going to come out not really very, very happy person. It's very risky to do that with that. I personally have mentioned, if you anticipate, let's say you as a trader, because everybody in this chat is obviously a trader. Now, whether you're a day trader, long-term investor, it's a different story. At least you get the idea of to trade, how to buy and sell. Ask yourself a question. What do you think, before you think of the option chain, what do you think that particular stock that you're looking at? Let's say it's like for me, when I made that video about GME, I knew that they were going to have their earnings call around the 17th. And I knew that, leading up to it, it's going to be a great, great call, because it's not going to be as bad as 2020 or 2021 calls. Obviously, it's going to be much better news, everything with loop ring involved and a lot of great things. But you still cannot know. One thing I learned from AMC, and that's what I mean by adapting. One thing I learned about AMC was every time we have an open, like an earnings call, it could be the great earnings call, and they've been the greatest earnings calls as far as post-pandemic. And we go down on those days. We don't even go up and enjoy 4% or 3% normally, which anything like any other play would do so. No, we go down instead. So for me, knowing that some volatility would happen with GME around this date, weeks ago when I dropped the first video talking about straddle, strategies and strangled strategies for stocks, that was the same time when I made my position into GME on that from an option chain position. And I chose to do the straddle. And it paid off really well for me because I closed out my position today. It could even go lower by like in a couple days by the earnings call. But here's the thing. I had to weigh out my options in this case. One, I'm definitely in the profit now. Two, all this extra money that is made from it, I can add to my position through it, and it was a good amount. So I can add to it and then leave some on the side to add to it in case on that day it goes lower. I can average down, but I'm very happy with this price point. Much happier than going down on, much happier than going up and, just buying it at like 130 when it was at that price range, buying it in 130 levels, and now seeing it at the 70, let alone the people that bought it in the 200 and the $300 range. I mean, I feel for all that, for all those people. But again, this is the stock market. So you got to, like I said, adapt and act on it that way. So the good thing about the straddle, Danette, is that it protects you from both sides. You just don't know if it's going to go down really well or up really high. And the good thing about it is that it protects you a lot more against the drop. And in this case, it helped me a lot. because the more it dropped, the more profit I made, and the calls that I had just canceled themselves out, and I lose their premium, but their premium is nothing. They're like, uh, $100 something dollars, and that's nothing compared to the puts on the straddle position that were in the thousands. Um, so that was the good thing. But the only way that strategy anyways works is if you expect a really volatile time to go, like session to be happening. The price can't just go down 1% or 2% or go up 1% or 2%. You basically are going to lose everything. So again, this risk is all there, but to every situation there's always a better solution, if that makes any sense. Let's see. I'm gonna skip a couple just to read this one. Stephanie, thank you for the shout out early in the pre-market today. Thank you so much today. Yeah, I do intend to go on live. I mean, the Macedonian have reached out to me numerous times since then, and he, like, earlier this morning, he wanted me to. He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, do you want to cover, tonight and Monday and segment?" And I was thinking about it, but honestly, I have some things to tend to, so I couldn't. So he left the door open for me and said, "Hey, do you want to come in on Wednesday?" So I don't know. You guys tell me if you want to see me there on Wednesday. And thank you for telling everyone to like the video. Yes, please, guys, like the video so we can push it out to more and more people. Okay, the net back to collect the premium, or is that helping them? Remember, if at the point when you're in a profit, if you're in the profit, you have obviously a choice to make. You either go all in and say, no, I predict it's going to go higher and just continue going, or you'll be like, I'm satisfied with what I made, sell it and continue moving on with your days. I personally, just personally speaking, and this is not financial advice, I will never sell any of my shares on a play, especially if it's a squeeze play that I'm anticipating it to be big. You can obviously do that on some other plays. It's just I wouldn't do that on the squeeze play. You simply have a lot more to lose than to gain. So you're saying they're going to get margin called? Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, boo. And it's like now, like, boo. They were supposed to get margined many months ago. They're already well into the margin many months ago. If you look at the news that has been coming out, you're talking about when they come out and said DOJ is investigating this. They came out and said, oh, there's some sort of swap deals that they all been doing. They've all been in contact with each other and making deals with each other, and making things move to their advantage. The one thing that catches my attention the most in this case is the swaps deals. It's kind of like, hey, I give you this, you give me this, you take care of me on this, I take care of you that. And they all have been doing it. So clearly margins have been overlooked for other assets or for other lucrative ideas that they were going to be offered to them. Simply similar to what happened today in that JP Morgan situation, where the guy is on a margin with billions of dollars, and somehow, they said you don't have to pay right away. We worked it out. Whatever that workout is, obviously will never be released except of a superficial version of it. How is that we supposedly per Adam Aaron own 90% of the float, but the price is dropping? It's all good. Thanks for this question. I hear it personally a lot, and here's what my answer to this is. First, I'm gonna throw a couple of questions in the answer, and then I will answer it like my point. First question is, how do we know that Adam Aaron is telling the truth, or how do we know that he looked? Why is he not given some sort of resource or like a source of what he sourced that out of that out of what? Like, did he source it from uh computer share, looking at whatever? Because when you buy, you're not buying from AMC, you're buying in the stock market from your broker. Now we do know that there is a lot of extra crap that exists, like a lot of naked shares that are out there. So how is he able to look and say 90% of this, unless he was just throwing a number knowing that we own way well over that, because of the fact that the float is not normal. It's not just 516 or 13 million dollars. No, maybe he just threw that number out of knowing that 100% um, is low anyways, because we are already in a float that is more than 10, like, 1,000% or even more. That's the first question. The second question is, if he say that and we're still consistently going down, then that could easily prove one of the theories out there. And I think it was Lou that came out with this latest theory, that they have all the shares, the real shares, they've just been selling copies of it, basically synthetics, to everyone else, which is us, to retail and to institutes. Now, when it comes to the institutes, they have backdoor and dark pool trading that they deal with each other. Like, okay, give me, I'll give you back. Give me, I'll give you back. But with us, it's not. Now, the answer that you're basically asking for, I just wanted to bring around all the other image and all the other pieces. The answer I wanted to give was, even if that's the case, or not, but let's say even if that's the case and they have all the real shares, that still does not, cover the fact that whatever you've purchased, whatever I purchased, whatever she purchased, whatever they purchased, will all have to be dealt with. And the reason why they will be forced to do that is because of the rest of the market. The rest of the market is where their true, like, it's kind of like a wooden piece or a cross to a vampire. You know, you hit them right in the heart or get some silver and you kill them right there. It's done deal. And that's what the rest of the market is for them. For them, they're losing their positions that they're in other plays like Amazon, Shopify, Chipotle, big stocks. When all these positions they're losing so much money on, that's where they're really hurting, because they might have covered and uncovered and discovered and did whatever they need to do to oppress the meme stock movement, whether GME, AMC, ocgn, whatever you want to call them, whichever other ones. They're still gonna hurt from the other ones that they can't do the rest of that stuff that they're doing to us, to them. It's just simple as that, because where else will their money be? Clearly, it's not all just in crypto, because crypto is not at 200,000 Bitcoin or 300,000 a Bitcoin. So you'll see, the more, like I keep saying, that the more that this keeps dipping, the more and the more and the more you'll see that we're getting closer and closer and closer to our special date, because they, on these other stocks, they would get margined. They would have to cover that. They also would have to cover this. We've just been suppressed. They've been suppressing our data and what we have. But that's not, like, they can't suppress the rest. And when the rest keeps going down, whether due to the war, the inflation and everything, it's inevitable. Like, it's inevitable. So don't worry about the price going down or anything. These are all gimmicks and games that they use to try to obviously defeat you out of your position. They know that right now you're really weak, whether you've been in since before January of 2021 or not. Odds are you've been waiting for a while. And they know right now you're very tender and so broken down. It's so easy that a small little tick can push you over the cliff, So that's what they think. You're here to prove them otherwise. So hopefully that answers the question. It's all good. Hopefully it's all good. Again, guys, please like the video so that we can push it out to more and more people. It's all good. Love the channel. I love you too, brother. Thank you. Well, brother or sister, the name of the channel, your channel does not really verify which one, but much love to you as well. Thank you. That was the next question. If we own 90%, they haven't covered. Well, boo, we knocked two people in one. Uh, Vincent Jose, welcome back, Vincent. Que paso, amigo from Southeast New Mexico. Wow, that sounds fun. Um, how far is that from Albuquerque? Because I can't help think but the Breaking Bad. I can't help but to think about that show now. And you said that. Not nothing involving you, Vincent. You know, no pun intended. What's up, cool runner? Miss you guys. How you been? Um, they could have pumped AMC stock just to short it, but didn't anticipate people joining in on buying up the float and actually holding. Yes, actually, Marley, you're right, and it started not with AMC. Honestly, here's the thing. Okay, let's take a step back, a few steps back to 2020. When the GME thing started happening, obviously it squoze in January of 2021, but the movement all occurred in 2020, and that's where the damage was happening. You know, they were obviously shorting, these institutes were shorting AMC, GME, BlackBerry, any of those companies to oblivion, because obviously they were like, hey, and in a way, rightfully so, because look at AMC or GameStop. They were heavily depending their model depended heavily on them having to be open and accept incoming clients to make money. That's just how it was pre-pandemic. Now, pandemic happens. These guys were thinking, the institutes are like, wow, this is the most lucrative opportunity ever. It just landed right into our laps. I mean, you're talking about these businesses are relying heavily on walk-in retail, especially AMC, more so than even GME, and they can't make money and their bills are racking up. So it was an easy short. Yes, if I was an institute and I thought like them and acted like them, then of course I would have definitely at that time I would have done the same thing. Now they were able to drop the stock back down to like the upper dollar like range. It was like 190 or 191 or something like that. But that was early 2020. Now that we skip that, when GME actually was the one that started that whole thing, because fast forwarding to that, to when they took out that buy button, it was throughout, like AMC was just taking off to 27, because at that time the big thing and the big deal was GME. Nobody was really thinking about AMC like that, like how it is today. But it was the second option for people to jump in, since they missed the train on the GME, because GME was already going into the hundreds at that time and going from $3.40, whatever, up crazy to the hundreds. Obviously, a lot of retail investors are like, I can't pay that. So what is the next thing to look to? There was a smaller community at that time that was, at a much more lucrative price, which was AMC. And they jumped heavy into that. I was one of those people. I jumped heavy into AMC. Literally, like I started jumping into it at, like I had the very small position in GameStop in 2020. Same thing with AMC, but I kept adding more and more and more and more. And when what happened in January happened, that's when, I was like, okay, I'm full AMC right now. And because AMC was just like, about to, it didn't even take its first breath. It was suppressed early at the $27 range. They were able to get more and more and more and more and more people. And now it is officially, I mean, no one can deny the fact that it has the biggest community out there. You could look all throughout YouTube. You could look at it all throughout whatever you want, Reddit, whatever. It's the biggest community. I'm not saying it's the best stock, but I'm just going back to history with you to show who really did this. And when they took those days off from the market, when they suspended those stocks from being traded, that's when it was a weekend too. It was approaching a weekend, and in that weekend, that's when they came up with the idea of bring back their buy button, and that's when they came up with the diagram and the model that we're dealing with today, which is let them keep buying in, and that's what we're dealing with today, the buying the synthetics and buying whatever. That's when that was birthed. That whole model was birthed on that day when they took the buy button out. They had to come up with something. They made what they made, and now we're here. Let's see. Pretty revolutionary. Yeah, right. Um, they created shares worth more than the hedge fund and got caught. That's crazy. Yeah, there is a like a counter to this and say that there could have been a reason why they wanted to do that. Like they could have easily been laying out that so that they can take money to go ahead and make more money and eventually pay out from the money they use. It's kind of like I've said this before many times. It's kind of like, hey, give me that first million. I promise I'll give you back. I'll give you back. I'll give it back to you as 2 million. You know, whose purpose here? Yeah, you did benefit an extra million, but you really served me the most because I didn't have anything at that point. So I think that's where the hedge funds were at. They were really hurting from the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. They got paid a lot of retribution and a lot of help from the government, giving them. I'm a business owner, so I already know what they were giving out for institutions, big institutions. They were making hundreds of millions of like unpaid back and relieved money that they can just easily have some accountants of their own to go ahead and work out some papers, and eventually they won't have to pay any of that money back. And that is why, in my humble opinion, was the reason why they took that money straight and went and dumped it into the crypto sector. And that's what really pumped the crypto. Got a lot of people on it. Now it's been over a year and a half, almost 2 years, that the crypto has been in the highest forms that it's been at. And again, I don't want to be that guy to bring that, but again, this is not no buddy help friendly, I tell you whatever you want to hear things. My main thing was always saying that crypto is gonna drop like its pants out before, and its underwear too, before we see it capitalize and become the new system and the blockchain that used throughout the the market on a daily basis. So yeah, it's gonna be very cynical, guys. That's basically what's gonna happen with the crypto. So when they paid out all that money to them, they dumped it there, and then they were forced with that GME situation, and some of the meme stocks squeezing. They lost majority of the gains that they personally have made, possibly when the markets opened back up after that 2020. In June, July, that's when stocks were back and rebounded. So they could have, obviously clearly made so much money off of it because they didn't short all the stocks, but they lost most of that money, if not majority of that money, through the GME short and other meme stock shorts. They probably had to pay all those margins off by doing so. And now they had to shut down the buying, and they're like, you can only sell, and that way they could get some shares back so that they can, at that point, when you're selling, when only the selling button is available but the buy button is not, that means their nightmare is stopped for now. Whoever is selling, yeah, you're making money at that point, but you're giving them the shares they need to start covering, and that's how they basically ultimately get away with all this stuff. And now we're here, you're like, what the hell, how they keep dropping the price and whatnot. This whole time, ever since that meeting and that market was closed, was nothing but a money hoarding operation, so they can make as much money. You take that money, go use it, while we're thinking hold. Yeah, you hold, give me your money and hold. I'll go take care of this, come back. Whoever's still left around, well, you survived, and now you get to live to tell the tale. Whoever didn't, whoever sold, whoever couldn't last whatever time frame it's going to take until this thing squeezes, whoever is going to drop along from the ranks, those are the people that ultimately will take the loss, and those are the people that we are basically taking the money from. That's the people, that's how they're going to pay for this eventually. Sorry for the long answer, guys, but I told you before, I am emotional, so I give you what I have, everything. Danette, did you watch the latest Jon Stewart interview with the Wall Street WSJ guy? What are your thoughts? See, this is crazy. That's one thing that the Macedonian reached out to me and said he wanted me to cover one of the interviews. I think it was this one. I hope it's not the one with Gary Gensler, because Gary Gensler's interview was. I think I've talked about it in one of the lives. It was just an utter mess of talking about everything but what we need to talk about. But that one, no, I've seen that he went back and forth. I haven't been able to look, so I'll look at it tonight, and I will be sure to voice out what I think about it for sure. Um, Remember this, guys. Remember when we keep talking about, for those of you who are subscribed to the channel, guys, and if you're not, please do so. Um, you know how we've been talking about they're preparing a sacrificial lamb for this, and we've been talking about for a long time now. And guess what? My prediction personally was that they need a face for this whole saga, so that when it ends, it falls on somebody's face, and they could be the face of this. In this case, for a long time I've been saying that I think it's going to be Melvin, the Melvin guy. And almost as time keeps progressing and going, it looks more and more so like it's going to be the case. Because a few days ago, that really terrible guy, Steve Cohen, if any of you know the guy, please don't confuse him with Ryan Cohen from GameStop, and newly bbby. But yeah, so like Steve Cohen had $750 million invested with Melvin, and he's basically in the process of taking it out. Citadel took its money out that it gave to Melvin to help it out from the 2021 surge of GameStop and the meme stocks. So now they took majority of their money back, Citadel did, and now you hear another one pulling their money back out, which is this guy, the Steve Cohen. So that's intense. That's intense. It looks more and more every day. It looks more closer and closer. The image looks closer and closer to the fact that it's going to be him that's going to be the first margined player and the first one to break ranks from their side. So they take people money. They know that a stock that they have shorted crazy isn't going anywhere. So if you can create a scenario, 100,000 a share, you would make a lot of money from FOMO. Shaking my head. What? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Marley. I can't tell you, no one can tell you what what price the shares will go to, and what's the ceiling and what's the base, simply, or the floor, simply because you will be a shill as a person if you are saying this is the limit or this is not the limit. And here's why: because no one knows how many shares are out there, and no one also knows how retail is going to behave as this thing is going down. That's why I always say keep your eyes on the short interest, the short covering, and the volume that is moving on a daily base. Because when this thing takes off, and obviously now the SEC have verified that they will, and they have the transparency rules and all that stuff. A lot of people misunderstood the transparency rules. They thought that the transparency rules are being passed to cause the squeeze. No, it was more of a tool to utilize. So when it does get to the squeeze, this is my opinion, guys. So again, I could be wrong on this, but if it doesn't make any sense to you, that'll be great. So when the squeeze does come, you have an advantage now, or a better position to understand better when you should really start selling and when you really should hold. So I'm not gonna, sit here and tell people, oh, hold to 100,000 or sell at 100,000, or hold to 10,000 and sell at 10,000. That's for you to do on that day, and that's for me to do on that day. My thing is to be as real and genuine with you as it gets, like just 100%, and that's what I give. Um, like I'm trading for myself, guys. Even though we're not doing any trades together. So yeah, we almost slipped and went into the unknown zone. 1 second. Now you have people, like, you have, like, I was just looking at an article from Yahoo Finance, and I saw that there is it says 3 reasons to buy stocks during weakness in markets. You know who made that? JP Morgan. Look at the craziness here. Out of everyone else, JP Morgan is the one who's talking about 3 reasons why you should buy stocks when the market is weak like this, as of today. Um, and yeah, I don't know if I would trust that or want to trust that. Stock plunges on weak guidance. They come back with this crap talking about vaccine maker stocks rise as China battles worst COVID outbreak since 2020. That story is over. What's your thought on SoFi company and stocks? Do you think interest rates could kill that company? I know it's outside of AMC, but I'm using it as some sort of hedge. Um, Here's the thing. So you're talking about Sophie, the investing app, or are you talking about the stock? Because I have an answer to both, if depending on which one. Come on, boo. If you're talking about the stock, I can make it and it's simple for you. The so like I personally, and it's so crazy that you've asked this. I have shares in Sophie personally, so I've never disclosed that. Obviously, again, everybody trades for themselves, and here's why I have conviction into that play. One, it's getting the grant to become its own bank, and when it does, this price that you see it at right now, in the, what is it now today, because it's always bouncing between the 9 and the $15 range. um, it did peak out a few months ago to, I remember it went up to high 20s. Okay, stock good. To the high 20s. So it did, like, have a drawback. I think it will draw back a little bit more, simply because the banking industry in general is looking like it's going to go towards something really bad, like really bad times for them. Here's the thing. If you're looking for a long-term investment, personally, I think Sophie is a great thing. It has very, very, very big potential to be the next, upstart, or those stocks that's in that same realm, that is loaning money out and stuff like that. But again, this is not financial advice. I just have really high praise for Sophie as a stock. Um, Now, as the bank said, the net said the thing, there's not much more to it, or it's just another. When it becomes a bank, it will have all the conviction that it would need to do. Not the app. As far as the app, um, that is something separate. I do have a small, like, I remember uh, when it came out, I downloaded it. I put like, oh, thank you for reminding me. I have like 40 or $50 in that thing that I simply forgot about. So I need to go back on there and then probably get it back out, or see what positions I put him on. Who knows? I might have a few extra AMC shares sitting on Sophie. But it has been like a year and a half, 2 years since I've had it, and it's terrible. It wasn't anything special. Um, I don't have anything special about that. Again, all brokers at that point, at this point, are all going to be the same. Um, AB question on the so-called cap of AMC stock price. What's up, Maddox? Ask away. Um, Marley, it's already got its charter. I think they're shorting that stock and it's long term. Yeah. I think here's the thing. If it's long term, you have nothing to worry about. Personally, I think um, you would just have to, you know, I've also said this a lot. Always stay liquid. Don't just FOMO into, even if it's not just in one play, but all your capital at once, because there's always going to be opportunities that you do not want to miss, and sometimes there's also better opportunities to average down. So always leave some on the side for that. Besides that, it's looking great. Besides the fact that it's going to go through a transitory time uh, of things happening and going down, and because of the banking system, inflation, everything that is bad is happening right now. So, are you guys hearing this sound in the background? There's something popping up because I'm getting like group messages coming like crazy. But yeah, you have nothing to worry about in that case if you're thinking long term and if you could really handle long term with that play. I want to say, guys, truthfully, thank you so much for all the ones that are subscribed to the channel and even the ones that are not. At the end of the day, it is one community. Truthfully, I do like the fact, like, the community that we have is amazing, truly amazing. I've caught some of you in some other channels, and we've exchanged some nice words and shout outs and all that stuff. So much love uh, to you, to the rest of the community out there. It's a truly amazing thing that we're having, or that we're going through in these times. And in this trip and this cause, um, we have so much more to unite us now than to break us. Do you remember the times, like even like up to 2020, like even until when COVID was over? Do you remember when there was so much more break throughout the rest of the country? Like, so many people were either on this side, that side, this side, whose side? Not your side, not my side. Um, it's just crazy. It's just crazy that we're here at this time now, and it seems like there's more to unite us. I mean, this play, AMC, GameStop, the meme stocks have united so many people of so many different ethnicities, so many different uh, you know races, so many different regions, and now we're all standing under one slogan and one movement. That's pretty interesting, guys. Pretty amazing. Maddox, comment too long on. You haven't given me a question yet. But sorry if the comment is too long. Apologize, guys. I just try to really truly give you whatever I think you need. Thanks. Another thing, 3D printing. It's hard to believe we will have a chip shortage if we have inventions such as that. Wow, Marley, you are you're scattered all throughout the market, and that's good. Um, don't Okay, here's the thing. Don't buy too much into this whole ship shorting going on. And here's the thing. Yes, while it was true, right now, by now, there is wherever there is money, there's always a product. Money does not, get left to walk away without it being satisfied. So if there is a transaction to be made, trust me, products will be available, no matter where they're going to get it from and how they're going to go about it to get it. And metaverse and 3D printing will thrive. Don't worry. Um, and Vincent, what's your thoughts on Dutch Bros? What's been fluctuating in the mid 40s and 50s? I've seen new shops in the South starting to pop up. Um, well, I'm not very familiar with their model, honestly, to be totally honest with you, Vincent. But here's the thing. Um, if it's been, you know, like I would look at this all-time high, I would look at this all-time low, then I will look at the 52-week high, 52-week low. Those things are very important, at least just to gauge the stock. And then here's the one thing to look at. My problem with my one of my businesses, which is a restaurant here in Kentucky, it's called Greek Burrito. It's a Greek restaurant. My issue with it now, since inflation is getting higher and higher and higher, and it's been going like that since the markets opened, since June of 2020. Um, the cost of goods constantly keeps rising, no matter where you're getting it from. And I explained this in some older videos, like how you buy something and that was made, like let's say I needed chicken, and I'm buying chicken like at one box, 50 pounds for $200. Let's just hypothetically say that. In June, when the markets reopened back up, that box was about $280. So an $80 increase suddenly out of nowhere. And as time kept going, progressing until the day that we're in now, that box is over double and it's almost about to walk into the triple range, almost $600. Just giving you an idea. And that's one product that I had to deal with. Oil prices went crazy, like the frying oil. It already more than quadrupled in value. Um, Vegetables, produce, everything was going up, and inflation constantly keeps going higher. So the more that inflation keeps going up, it's going to eat a lot of their profits, because, or they're going to lose a lot of customers because they will either have to up the price to make the money, or they would have to bite it, take it to the chin, keep the profit margins at the same levels that they're in, and keep the customer satisfied. But unfortunately, they will take the loss or the difference of value surge from their profits. And that's basically the position that I've took. I'm not gonna make a euro sandwich, um, and sell it to someone for 14, $15. People just, it's just not, no matter how good it is and no matter how authentic it is and great it is, it's just not. So we kept it at the same prices that it was in. And guess what? We're not making as much money on that product, but at least I still keep all my customers. Okay, trying to keep it as short as possible. Let's do this, Maddox. I'm in. Has the SEC, DTCC, or Gensler publicly acknowledged synthetic shares? How can how can they cap us at a certain limit, then potentially in court tell not valid? Okay. Well, this is a good question, but it's more than one in a way. Uh, has the DTC, SEC, DTCC, or Gensler publicly acknowledged synthetic shares? The answer is no. They've came out and said there's no, and even Adam Aaron said the same thing as well. Um, how can they cap us at a certain limit, then potentially in court tell not valid? Well, because simply you got to remember. I'll give you a good example. If somebody gets killed, God forbid, at work from whatever doing, and it's not their fault, it's the company's fault. Whatever happened, some machine fell and it killed the gentleman. They would sue them, obviously. They will sue the company and they will start pricing out how much they would have to pay this uh, for the life of this person. Now, obviously, the family of that person will say, no money in the world can pay for the loss of my beloved. you know Okay, But the government comes back and the courts come back in and say, well, in this case, you have to put a price on it. And they will themselves even say, okay, how much can this? They have access to each other's papers. They know how much they need to pay. Eventually, it's going to fall in the DTCC's lap, and they're going to have to make that decision. They know that it will fall in their lap at the end. And they will do another 2008. The only difference will be, which is a bailout. The only difference in this, if there is any difference, I mean, if they just bail them out, in 2008 all over again on a much worse scale. If they don't, and they bail them out, but the separate form is by taking all the stocks, since the whole market is in destruction, from those hedge funds. You give me all your positions, I sell all your stock, I will hold on to all your stock. That way I prevent a more catastrophic disaster throughout the whole market. And you go back to work. As you make money, you can come back and buy back your positions from me. That's another possibility they can do. But eventually all this will fall into the DTC's lap, and yeah, they will have to come up with it. And money, there is a cap. Why? Because it's just in the way of life. Like, it's nothing goes uncapped, like that's just how it is. When people want to dictate the price, I get it, I'm with that. That's the idea of all this thing, is to hold. But obviously there will be some levels that only the government knows, or the payee, the person that's going to take care of this tab, knows that they can pay and what they can't pay. Hopefully that answered the question as fast as possible, but it was more than one, so don't blame me, Maddox. Dinette, I have to disagree about Sophie app. They actually have a better chicken app. They pay, invest on your money. Hey, they could be. I mean, again, you're probably right, Dinette. I just didn't get much of the things that I needed. Like, I saw so many more things available for me as far as charting and all that other stuff on TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim, or with Webull, or with the other platforms. So that doesn't mean it's bad. I've tried literally almost all of them. I've opened up an account with almost all the brokers that you think out there, Robinhood, all that stuff. But obviously I'm no longer with Robinhood. I do have people ask me this before, and I say this: I use 3 platforms. I use Fidelity, TD, and Webull. If you have theories out, if you're one of those guys out there, guys, that think that he's with Webull, you're part of the problem or whatever, that's for me, not for you. You think that DRSing is the solution and whatever. Well, I have very, 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 very compelling reasons of why I don't trust that stuff. And simply just one of them is the fact that, whenever they do something like this, or with computer share, for example, and all that stuff, then you need to go and check, see if it's backed up by the DTCC. If it's not, then Freedom. What's up, Freedom? Do you think GME earnings this week will unleash the explosion mass with AMC? Thanks. Merci. Well, here's the thing. I think you missed the early part of this, Freedom. I had some plays. I had some call options. It wasn't like an uncovered call. It was a straddle position on it, and it made a good amount for me as far as on the put side, because with the straddle you buy the same expiration date, same strike price, but 2 instead of 1 put and 1 call. And the way that works is that it, whichever direction it moves massively in, you start making profits. And once it breaks that premium, then obviously your call in that position in today's way, it dropped tremendously. So which means I was making money on it going down, and the calls that I had canceled out, no problem for me, as long as I was in the profits. And I took that money and I bought stocks with it, increased my position in GME, and I have a lot more sitting now on the side as far as capital, just to take care of any opportunity. Because on that earnings, I think that it's gonna go back up just to rebound another, like all that what you seen went down today, that could rebound by that call. It could seem like a fake out. They could try to fake customer, like investors, and make it go up 20% or 30%. And like, oh my God, if I was in there. So you're going to try to FOMO thinking that it is the thing. But then in all reality, it will be just nothing but the same thing. You'll be playing calls. People, it's just a trap for people to get crazy calls, go in on a weekly. It doesn't pass the strike price that you're in. You start losing money. And they know this because obviously in GME, the retail investor is very limited, because especially at this time of the year now and this time around, because it's already super expensive to play options on GME, let alone have the money to invest on a lucrative investment into GME. So it's tough. So for me, like I said, I went ahead and put the money in, increased my position in GME, and then I went ahead and left the rest on the side because I'm going to increase more into AMC. I'm just in love with the stonks. So that's my overall plan. Technology is going to be what drives the market after things go completely back to normalcy. Gene editing, cryptocurrency, AI algos. It's hard to believe that war can stop or slow up things. I agree with you, Marley. We're gonna get to the point where it's just you'll be lucky to reach a live person on the phone. Everything's gonna be AI. Thank you, Danette. Appreciate you. Okay, Maddox. Assuming brokers try to screw us on the payout, I'm just not understanding the cap off. Suppose they do halt and reset to any number. What happens if retail doesn't sell after that? Oh, okay, okay. I see where you at, Maddox. So I'm not saying in any way that they will just cap it. For example, let's just give hypothetical example here. Let's say that AMC or GameStop flies up. Let's just say AMC here in this case flies up to 300, and suddenly surges to 3,000, like to 1,000. Then it goes up to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. As long as it's not capped, then at that point, if you're watching the short interest, they're covered. Have they covered? Have they not covered? The volume, what kind of volume is happening? I mean, if you're getting, I remember back in January 2021, when these things were going up, and even in June of 2021, I mean, we had volumes in the billions. It was over 1 billion in one day, in one day. Not what we're seeing now, 20 million, 25 million, 28 million. That was a lot of money moving in one day of trading. Can you believe it? So when you see on that day, like if you remember those days, then you would know on that day that we're going up. If we're not capped and we're getting like crazy billions of volume every day, I would start thinking about like, okay, the strategy itself, like what is exactly going to be your strategy? For me, I've always said that I will always get my initial investment back out first, no matter what. I always get it out. Then after that, I have no more pressure on my back telling me, hey, you need to get out before another June situation happens with you. So therefore, I don't need to be, doing that. I'm saying this because a lot of people, I've heard from a lot of people, I see a lot of people comments on my channel and other channels that say that, like, I used to have this much and then June happened, like then I got this much and then now happened and now I have nothing. Like it dropped tremendously away from where it was at. I should have sold in June, and they have feelings of sorrow because this works right into their advantage. This is what they want. They want you to feel that way. They want you to think that way, just for now. But when this thing starts going, you're not, when we get to a point where the DTCC or whoever is going to pay this out, don't worry. As far as the money, the broker eventually will have to, like, they're the middle guy. They're the ones who's brokering it to you. So the money, if it's, let's say hypothetically, if it's at 4,000 or 5,000 and the DTCC is the one who's going to pay that bill, they're going to transfer that money throughout the suspension that will happen, because at that point you'll be at a big halt suspension similar to the one in 2021 in January, and they'll say, okay, this is where it's going to go. We're going to cap it right here. We can't let this go longer. We have 2-3 days, and then we're going to yank it off the market because it's going to like screw up the whole market, like literally screw up the whole market. And we can't have that. We need to protect the common interest of the American investor. Literally, they will give you something similar to that talk. At that point, if you don't want to sell, they'll go ahead, they'll send whatever they need to send from whoever is paying us, whether the Feds, DTCC, or the guys themselves, these companies, if somehow they were able to bring all that money to pay, then everything will be done then. And then when it goes to court, obviously, whoever doesn't sell, one thing I will tell you is, if you give someone who's an investor an alternative at that point, they will look, I just dealt with almost a year and a half without making any money, instead losing. And I held myself, I kept myself and my family down, whatever. And suddenly you get this option where it's telling you, you're going to make this much money or a lot of money. It's not as much as you wanted. Or you could just drag this out to courts and go for a few more years in the same way that you've been in. I'll tell you this, majority of people will take the option. That's just what it is, So I personally don't like it that way. But everyone has their strategy on the investing and their brackets, if they made their brackets. I don't make any brackets until I see, I look at when the squeeze is happening. I look at the short interest. I look at shorting, if it's covering or not. I look at the volume, what's coming in and what's going out. If there is still buying available, because if there's still buying, buy it button, I'll be surprised if the buy button still will be around at that time. Because if the buy button is still around, then how will they end this? If I'm selling, someone else is buying besides them, then how will they cover? Then there's no need for me to sell. I will keep going because I know my shares are worth far more than whatever the screen is giving me. But my overall strategy is always get my money first, the initial investment, and then move forward. And that's why I'll always never put myself in a position where I get over leveraged on risk and now I'm screwed. I got screwed. Because I got punished many times when I first started in the stock market years ago. And usually the only thing you can do is learn from it. That's the only thing I've done. Freedom. Something will happen this March 17th after market GME earnings, just a feeling. Well, here's the thing, Freedom. I've made a video also saying that you got to remember on the 18th, look at the odds. Why there's a high chance what you're saying, Freedom, could be actually very true. And here's why. On the 18th, you have the quadruple witching day. And it basically starts 3 a.m. I think, on the 18th. So a lot of future index, futures and option, futures, all four financial assets come to a simultaneous end, an expiration at the same time, which is on that day. Now, this is nothing more than a conspiracy at this point, guys. It's a what if. It could be a form of hype, but look at the odds here. I'm just stating out the facts that on the 18th, we have that day. Now, I believe that back in June in AMC, they had, on June the 18th, that was when the quadruple witching day effect happened. I do believe that at that time, maybe they had so many assets that were expiring out of the money and they needed them to go into the money, and that caused that pump back then, just particularly in the June one. Because we saw that AMC took off, but GME it was already around the $200-300 range, and it went up, but it wasn't like something crazy like how AMC did, surged. So there is a lot of fruit to what you're saying, Freedom. So again, but right now it's a little conspiracy, but it's a very good one. Bros just went public in mid-September, so no 52-week high yet. Good point on overhead cost. Yeah, that's Vincent. Yeah, literally, like the most important part is the overhead cost in these businesses, because I know that that's the biggest thing that is killing my business as far as from the restaurant standpoint, and even the smoke shop, same thing as well. All things are getting more and more expensive. So for retail, just this retail sentiment is not the same. And now when you get to a point where money is even more hard to come by, um, like you're eventually gonna have to start opening, in areas that just, and start offering or accepting, in my restaurant, start accepting food stamps or whatever. It's crazy. Eventually, I mean, things are just get tough for retail. Tough, really, really tough. And prices keep going up. I mean, I have US Foods, Reinhardt, uh, Restaurant Depot. I have many like warehouse, like wholesalers, especially US Food. You guys, a lot of you know them, that literally used to come and beg me to buy from them. Reinhardt, all their agents will literally like beg me, call me, bug me. Gordon's agent, unbelievable. Now, these same guys, like the US Food guys, first they dealt with the unemployment era back in 2020, at the end of 2020 and 2021. So the guys that were coming as sales agents with a suit, they were literally coming to make an account in 2021 and driving the truck because there was no more delivery drivers. Literally, and being the guys bringing down the goods had I made a purchase from them, delivering it. Now, fast forwarding to the times that we're in, those same guys, well, many of them lost many, like they cut, like the companies themselves have cut a lot of employees, a lot of representatives, and the ones that stayed, they literally have to do three more things than what they officially were expected to do. And more so than that, the worst part is they're going around canceling accounts. They literally walked in into the mall where I have my restaurant, and they went to one of the tenants in there, and it was Thai and Basil. You guys probably know this franchise. It's like a Chinese restaurant, but they call it Thai and Basil, and to make it seem like it's different. Um, and they literally dropped them right there and then, because most of their product is chicken and frying oil, because they glaze all that chicken, whether it's bourbon chicken, orange chicken, whatever you want, and they thrive just on that. And that is one of the things that have gotten really, really expensive. So they dropped their account. They literally told them, go F yourself. We can't handle your order, even if it's going to be costing more and more and more. They still did not agree to it. um, Overall, really trying to disciple the FUD on us not getting paid. No, don't worry about that, Maddox. Like, as far as the getting paid part, the only person that stands in front of you with that is you. Like, if you make some bad decisions on the time, when the time comes, guys, let me tell you this. If you make some bad decisions and you're like, just like, everybody's situation is different, and I'm gonna literally advocate to you guys to please, 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 please think of your family, think of yourself. And I'm not gonna tell you what number to sell at, sell low, be safe. No, just have a plan, because it's not just like, even if you don't have a family and you're by yourself out there, yourself, do it for yourself. I would love for you to just have a plan. And hey, guys, please share it in the comment section. Let me know what your plans are as far as what you think. Who knows? Your plan could make sense to somebody else's, but don't walk in that thing just going with what you heard on Reddit or somebody says to the moon 50,000 or nothing less. Please don't walk into this process with that, because mathematically it's like you just have to, again, I don't want to be labeled as FUD or not, but I do care for your well-being, guys. We are all one community, and you are, in this case, sharing time with me, and I do value that. I come from a culture, guys. um, I am originally Arabic, but I grew up in the US, was here as a kid. And one day I will tell you guys the story of why my parents chose to come here. I guarantee you it's like a movie. I guarantee you it's like a movie. You haven't heard anything like it before, that's for sure. But anyways, nevertheless, I do come from a culture, like I'm saying, where we do, if you do me right and you do right by me, I have literally, we offer you everything. Arabs are known for their hospitality. Um, and again, that's something I inherited from my, that culture. But as far as that's all as far as it goes. But I'm more American than anything, America first. I am an American, and that's all. Like, I know more here than there. I do speak the language still, so if anybody pop up out of nowhere here speaking some Arabic, you know I know what you're saying. I got you, so don't try to say no bad words and try to get away with it. um, Pantheon. Oh, what's up, Pantheon? um, Hello, AB Investments. You're doing good work on your channel. Thank you for keeping up the AMC discussion. Well, much appreciation and love to you and Pantheon. I really, like I've said before on my other video, I really do appreciate your DD. It's flawless. As far as DD specifically, it's very, very, very flawless, brother. So keep up doing the good work, because even the stories that you come up with, and you say it, they're very engaging, and it can connect point A to point B to all the way to Z and back. So it definitely, if you have, guys, if you have a lot of questions, sometimes those questions come from the unknown, of fear of the unknown that's coming. And I know that in Pantheon, like I've seen on his way of bringing out the DD, it could easily answer so many of the little questions that seem impossible to answer. Freedom. Thank you too, Freedom. Appreciate you, brother. Marley, how can you find out if they have covered? Okay, well, the SEC have came out with the rule now. If it's implemented, not yet, but they allegedly have come out with the rule saying that they, from now on, the hedge funds will have to report their short positions on a monthly base. Now, it's not obviously the best time, but I do think that as we progress, these times will change and get better. I mean, how many of you heard about the whole Delaware situation, with them coming out and approving blockchain as a software? And that's something very, very beautiful for bbig, because bbig have come out on Friday and switched from, where were they at? I believe, what was it? It's like right on top of my head, and I forgot it. I can't say it, or I can't say it. But I can tell you this, that bbig have switched from this, wherever the area they were in at before, Louisiana or whatever it was, to Delaware now. And there's a high chance, because to switch onto the Delaware software and basically the blockchain. And if they're in the blockchain, then bbig, get ready to lift up your skirts. Sorry, Marley, I didn't finish saying that. So yeah, so like when we get down that lane, you'll be able, if they didn't switch it to having it much better, like reporting, because I know that they have allowed the aftermarket trading for institutions. So when the squeeze, let's say we're, hypothetically speaking, let's say we're in the squeeze umbrella, under the squeeze umbrella right now. Let's say that we're sitting there and we see the prices are like, I don't know, when should I sell, blah blah blah. Every day, and this is not going to be a one-day thing, by the way. Like, there's no way they can buy and close all these positions in one day, especially on AMC. So as you see the price at the end of the day continuously move, they themselves will have to report. The reason I believe, this is a hypothetical reason, I believe that they approved the after hour trading for uh, institutions, simply so that they can also know by the next day they would know how many have they hoarded, like how many shares have they hoarded and how many more left to get, and how many is out there, which further proves the idea of possibly them taking away that buy button again is a very big possibility. How will they end this mess if the buying is continuous? Unless somehow they route all the orders to be purchased straight from the institutes. Like, so if I put a buy or a sell order, and let's say you're not in AMC and you're trying to buy, unless, you know, all the orders are routed straight to, and that's not entirely impossible for them. You know, they've done the impossible obviously already. Go straight to the institute so they could take the shares in cover, and perhaps you who's trying to buy in is looking and like, why is it not going through? Like, I keep putting in the order but it's not going through. They could do that, you know, and a lot of people would just be waiting to on a buy order to fill in, unless you go crazy and suddenly you change your price and you buy at a much higher price. Then at that point the broker would look and say, okay, well, there is money to be made here, we'll sell it to this guy. And then we obviously, when the huge drop happens, you're like, oh, okay, let me get out. Whoever jumps in on the FOMO days, those are the people that most likely stand to lose the most, because they're gonna jump in already at a higher price no matter what. Because by the time they jump in, it might be in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. And I'm talking about when it's even way higher than that. There will be people interested in going in. But I've also said that there are institutes that will be looking to buy at high prices because they have the money to do so, but not to buy to raise the ceiling and take it to a higher stratosphere. No, they're looking to buy so they can short the stock at those levels, because they stand to make so much money. I mean, it's the easiest short ever at that point, especially if you have an AMC that's in the thousands at that point. God knows, whatever number like that crazy high, we all know you don't need an institute or a retail to explain this answer, but there's no way that AMC will stay at those levels for a long time. So they could easily short it at that level, buy it at that level, and short it at that level, and ride this thing down to all the way back down here to the land, if you want to call it milk and honey. How can you find out if they've covered? We've said that. Hopefully that answered the question, Marley. Are you going to be there tonight live with the Mandalorian? I think he's doing an on air. Yeah, well, he reached out to me and, you know, said he wanted me to to come on and perhaps cover the Jon Stewart interview segment part. The thing is, I have some matters to attend to tonight, so I can't. So we left the door open for Wednesday. So we'll see. Freedom, reach out to the Mandalorian and, you know, all of you guys. Tell him we want AB. Vincent, you're making me hungry. Greek food, huh? You bake the pizza pie, the pizza pie. No, and the funny thing is we don't have any pizza in my Greek restaurant. It's literally a lot of vegetarian stuff, falafels, hummus. I have it worked out in a way that is weird. One day I'll do a live and I'll take you guys there and you'll see everything. I have this like a full buffet in the front and all what you want to put on it. But the main thing is the feta cheese, the Euro meat is second to none. So if you guys are ever in the Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky area, right across that Newport, Covington, the restaurant is in Florence. If you're ever in this area, please give your boy a shout out, and hopefully I guys get to see you there. Buying more AMC shares isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? It's just to up your position. Of course, Marley. Yeah, like, no, that's literally what I intended to do today. Like what I did with GME today was amazing. I mean, I'm not saying it with the craziest excitement, even though I'm really excited inside, because I know the conditions that the rest of the market is going in. I know what the community is going through right now. And then here I come, like, yes, I made thousands today on this, and it was simple, while everybody else is losing money or looking at their stock standing losing money. And that's not the case. Again, guys, it's not me as a person. That's not me. But I did bring it up so that you guys could see that there is many ways to still make money in the market that is like this. When everybody looks at it and saying like, wow, unless you're on one of those luckily pump and dump stocks that are happening on a daily base, then it's hard. It's not that hard, actually, sorry, to make some money, but looking at different ways and adapting with the market that you're in, more like a chameleon. You have to change your color. You have to be just like it and ride it out until your initial positions, whatever you're convicted on, really heavy, whether AMC, GMEO, or any of the other meme stocks, if not all, um, until they have their moment. And then you will ride into the sunset altogether. I mean, again, guys, personally for me, I'm not doing this just for the squeeze. All this I've been doing from before because I actually love the stock market. I love the crypto. I love all these things. The sense of me waking up and having to do all this stuff besides having to deal with my businesses and like have to deal their tax papers and everything and all that stuff. I mean, I'm glad I finished that tax nightmare. If you own a business, you know what I'm talking about. Um, so yeah, but the stock is the most amazing thing. You don't have to service no one. You have to deal with no one. It's like all you and yourself, and you're playing Monopoly with your own life. So you either screw yourself or you fix yourself. Um, and thanks for answering of my questions. I enjoy watching your channel. Very informative. Marley, appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for dropping by and bringing all those important questions. I think they're really, really good questions, and that's what it's all about, guys. It's about coming in here and educate ourselves, all of us. Again, I don't have a license for being a financial advisor, but again, like I said before, it does not take away the fact that I've been trading for many years. And everyone has something to bring to the table because everybody is going through something either similar or a little different, but they went about it in a different way. And everybody can benefit if everyone, if we're all like an open library to each other, then we all could benefit, and push the community together in the right direction. Pantheon, I'll speak with the Mandalorian about you getting on Wednesday's live stream. You can have my seat if he's got people lined up. I'll text him now. Oh, no, no need, Pantheon. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Honestly, I would look forward to more being there when you're there than when you're not. I look forward to literally, specifically you, to hearing your side of things on the market. I appreciate your personality. Obviously, I see you going to other YouTubers and stopping by and showing some love, and I really do appreciate that. That speaks a lot about your character, man. So please don't ever change. Be the same. But yeah, if I do, me and the Mandalorian. I was almost gonna call him the Mandalorian, but this is the way, right? Me and the Mandalorian, we've left it, at least on text message. We left it open for Wednesday. He's just literally said, "Hey, just let me know if you want to come on Wednesday." So I haven't like literally. So if he's doing his thing, he can. Might have a busy week ahead. That's why I have many things to do for the cafe and for the restaurant. Um, but if things change, obviously I want to come on. I will definitely come on. I'm always ready to really come on and drop in anybody. I mean, this early this morning, I was on the Common Sense Investors channel. He was up for pre-market, and the guy is crazy at 3:30 in the morning, and that's a good thing. I do think that at all times that the market needs uh, someone to at least represent our stocks, whoever represents our stocks, to be around, so that we're always moving together. We feel like whoever's out there or up at that time can feel like someone is up with them. And Common Sense, excuse me, did that this morning. And a big shout out to him. He was going to send me an email, I think, to come and join and speak, but there was a few other guys and all that stuff, so it worked out perfectly. You guys, you had a really good story this morning. I liked it. Uh, long story short, appreciate the person who you are, brother. So hopefully I look forward to meeting up with you and talking. We'll make this happen, my friend. I'll see if I can get some more people in this live stream. Yeah. Hey, whoever comes. Whoever doesn't, again, the point is to try to get as many people, you know, answered. And you guys do a great job, Pantheon. You guys are answering good questions, and you have a little bit of bigger communities at this point. But at the end of the day, you guys have a good source, and you yourself, the DD maker. You got the Massalorian who's putting in, kind of bringing in all these guys, and he brings out some really good and cool DD and content as well. You got Frankie Muhammad, who's a really great brother with a solid voice. CSI is always coming up with his intriguing self, and coming up with good thoughts. And I haven't had the privilege to speak to or even listen much to Tony DiNaro, but he does sound like he's someone with experience. So again, there's no set time. I look forward to meeting all of you guys and everyone, whoever as well. If you're part of this movement, whoever. Danette, what is your expectation on GME's earning? Will we beat the earnings? Well, it's a bigger, okay, in my opinion, Danette, it's a higher chance that we beat the earnings than we don't. Well, hold on. As far as the price, I'm talking about the stock price. I have a higher reason to believe that the stock is going to go higher on that day than what's anticipated. Like right now, it's looking like it's dropping. This was a perfect drop for my straddles, but that's why I exited them today. Instead of staying in there and risking having to, possibly it going back up, and then now I end up losing all the advantages that I had. No, instead I exited my straddles and I went ahead and made a bigger position with GME. I left, like I said before, I left a lot more left on the side for any more volatility, whether between AMC or GameStop, and bbig, of course. And going down the line now to see on that day if they're going to crush their earnings. I personally do think like it's easy to tell that they're going to crush their earnings. This drop makes it look like it's not. Okay, like they're prepping you for a bad news PR. But I personally think that the reason why this worked out perfect for the straddles that I was playing earlier today, from weeks ago, that whatever the drop that you've seen today is all going to come back in the form of the good PR. So if good PR comes in, then you're going to see the stock rise, and it's going to go up again, that 15, 20, 25% that it lost in this past week and this week, leading up to the PR. And so I would not worry too much. You're not going to see no GME dropping crazy down to $10 or $4 or not. And who knows? I could be wrong, but I just don't see it, continuing to go down that lane. It just costs a lot more to continue to do that, especially with a very high option chain like GME. Might be easier to do with sundial, bbig, perhaps even AMC, but it's not easy to do that stuff on the option level of manipulating with GME. You would have to have access to unlimited money. That would have been possible when the feds were able to give money. But the feds, when they come out and they start saying, we're going to stop the easing process, yeah, good luck doing any of that stuff on the option chain. B Ghost 2. What's up, Ghost? You got a show about you. Representing the wolf pack. Who? Pantheon sent me here. I sub to you. Oh, well. Again, much love, Pantheon. This is why this guy is great. This is why I say this guy is great. And welcome, Wolf Ghost. I call it Wolf Ghost. B Ghost. B Ghost 2. Who's won? And as we seeing, I'm looking at, we just lost a ball pen first. Where's Lion Trader? I missed the guy. It's been a while. Him and Ham. Why is this the most important week for the stock market? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, Yahoo Finance now is trying to predict what question you guys will ask, and they try to come up with their own answers. Which stock is best to buy now? Why Chinese stocks are down? Why Chinese stocks are down today? What do you think, guys? This is so crazy. I mean, we're looking at the craziest global, like we're staring at the craziest global crash in mankind history. I literally see that happening, and I will break it to you why now. Um, all good, and yes, I'm one also. Welcome, well, welcome one and two. Um, we're literally staring at that, guys, and the reason why this war was suddenly to happen and suddenly like it came up was because of literally why because of this crash that has happened that we're staring at. First, you had the global economy, the second biggest economy in the world, which was China, default on its very big and most important sunshine company, which was Evergrande. And then suddenly now that talks of this war and Russia and all this stuff and Ukraine have gotten people to forget about that catalyst, because everybody was talking about that's the catalyst of all catalysts, and clearly it did not do, it wasn't the catalyst of all catalysts. But it's a part of it, because it's no longer about just the American stock market, or the S&P 500, or the Chinese stock market or whatnot. Literally, this is global. This is global. I mean, if we're complaining about $6 and $7 uh, gas prices a gallon in California, and I feel for it, imagine what it's like in New Zealand. Go, like, search it and see. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, it's not every country out there is set up like us. Like, we're truly blessed. For as bad as it looks and as bad as it is for us here, we are truly blessed, more so than many other uh people in countries that are out there. It's crazy. And I literally see this happening. What we're preparing for and what we're looking at is a great global crash on a level and a scale that we have never seen before, anything like it. Um, and I think that obviously kicking off this war, and then eventually it's going to escalate to perhaps anything larger and bigger, more people taking more sides, more wars happening on different ends throughout the globe. Um, and then eventually, I mean, who knows? This easily could lead up to World War III. Um, I'm not saying, like, a lot of people when I say this, they come out like, "Oh my God, you're so like negative." I'm not, guys. Like, but World War One happened, World War Two happened. I'm not saying there have to be a World War Three, but if we know that this happened before twice, like a world war, and that's just of recent age. We know that there was world wars back in the days when the Crusades and the days even before that. That's just humankind. And Jason, yeah, we are already at war, but we're not like it's not we're not at the level of like World War One or World War Two, when actually we were involved in engaging and fighting with the other countries, throwing bombs and doing things at them. We're just missing the news headline. Well, of course, there's a lot of things that are going in the background before any of this, before it comes out here. I believe this is why we came out of Afghanistan out of nowhere and left all our machinery behind. Um, Again, in this case, what is that? What do I say here? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a political advisor as well, guys. So we're officially not political advisors now. But when we left, back when we left Afghanistan, if you remember, I mean, we were there forever, and there was no reason for us. Every president said we'll come in, and that's it. I'm bringing our troops back, and they never brought them back. They'll bring back a few guys, and then the rest stays there. Um, and we kept them there because that was a good base for us to keep, you know who, within their parameters, and you know who. So then now we're leaving out of nowhere one day, and it's like quick, 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 and we leave all the machinery, tanks, jet fighters, whatever, ammo, whatever. Do you think we are a country and the most dominant force on the planet by making decisions like that or doing stuff like that? Obviously, there is a reason behind it, and that way, in a way, we indirectly supplied someone at least a good amount of weapons to be a thorn in the heads of the Russians, because they're right on their borders. Um, it's a very smart and slick thing, but then in doing so, we took out most of our troops and we brought them out and we put them, throughout around almost all the Black Sea, around Greece, around Latvia, and we literally have bases everywhere, which is, you know in our world, it's a good thing because we prevent anything crazy to happen to us, or perhaps could happen to us quickly. But in the eyes of the people there, they're like, hey, why are you in my country? And rightfully so, they have that. But again, governments dictate what happens, and the main point here is that I could see us staring at a crazy, crazy, crazy World War III scenario, um, in where all these, like, you have the allies out, like, lining up together. You have Russia choosing to most likely line up with China in this case, and India. But I don't think that China and India are as stupid as, at the World War I, at the time of the Ottomans. They're not as dumb as what the Ottomans did, and the Austrians did at that time by joining the Germans. It was, yes, they were the powerful house, but they were still, at that time, they were still going to be outnumbered from all around, by the Allies, and that's what happened. And the same thing occurred again in World War II. And we also did, as much as I hate to say this, we also did the smart thing in World War II, because we didn't engage into the war until when everything was literally like, almost done, and we just had to do Battle of Normandy, and next thing you know, we were inside and let's go. It's like we're waiting on them to drop that one ship, so that now, okay, that's it, we're done. We're joining the British and the French, and we're gonna go in and get this. But it was done deal. We came in, we took the spoils, took the scientists, we took what we needed, and we did it. At the end of the day, I just hate war, and I feel like we're looking at World War III, in the happening, and it's gonna be eventually at the expense of the Russians, and perhaps majority of the common, have nothing to do with nothing citizens. So yeah. I think nobody was commenting. Everybody was just listening at that time. You all have political views and things to say. Go ahead, say it. U.S. uses proxy armies to overthrow governments. Yeah, Ryan, I can see that. That is true. I mean, the the wars of these days are different than back. Like, back in the days, they were easily able to just go ahead and raise an army, and we meet here. You raise your army, we meet here, and that's it. We battle it out. Now, some regions, like for example, um, any country that is involved, like nuclearly powered, and can have access to nuclears, there's no way that you can engage with them on a head-on-head battle. So you got to do what you just mentioned. What was your name? Ryan. They have to do what you mentioned so that they can get the guy they want on the inside, take out the bad regime or the bad party or the bad individual, and put the right one in, and now you control that region and you don't have to colonize it. It's kind of like colonization 2.0. Hello from Canada. Hello from Cincinnati, Ohio. Pixie, much love to you guys out there, and hopefully all the great blessings to you guys. Pantheon, how do you know how do you want to come on for a little bit just to say hi and what's up? If so, how do I send you anything? I've never done the together thing live, but I'm doing it on my phone. Um, but yeah, guys, hopefully no World War III talks. We don't need that. And while we're looking at this, what is the price on our favorite stock? Okay. Same movement still. You know what's crazy, guys? I forgot to say this. The people that get me like that that make me smile the most, or at least brings me a smile, are the technical analysis, crazy technical analysis guys, because those are the most strong guys ever, and not because of them doing technical analysis, because they're just using it on something that does not apply. Um, it's kind of like throwing water on fire and expecting the fire to stay on. It's not what you need. You need gas, my friend. So yeah, technical analysis in this case and this for over a year have proved to be nothing and not even anything. Like people talked about golden crosses and we crossed them. Uh, People talked about crazy like, oh, look at this. We drop in this level and now it's a buy check, and now it's a selling it's check, and if we go up in this triangle we'll do this, and if we reach this death cross, then it will be all good. Not with these plays. Like with the rest of the market, yes, I could possibly see that, but even that is proven to not be the case as of late because things keeps changing. Um, Young's finest. Is the MOAS connected to the collapse of the American economy? Um, okay, well, there's many takes on this. And what was your name? Young finest. Okay, there's many theories on this, and people stand on many doorsteps with that question. Personally, I think that they both are in the same boat in a way. So like for example, if let's say the market collapse, I do believe that at that time that's when we've already gotten paid, or we're looking at it as we're getting paid as well. It's not going to happen then we get paid, if it makes any sense, and that's my opinion. I think that it will, as it's crashing, we will start ascending, and then we will start going up, and then by the time it's fully crashed, I think that's when we will be all completely out of it. Um, Now, all that depends on if if the DTCC interferes and comes out and says, "Hey, you know what? Okay, we don't need this. We're not gonna want a full crash on the market or the economy. So here's what we're gonna do: we're gonna bail you out, similar to what they did in 2008. But in this case, on top of, like, the DTC didn't do the bailout in 2008, just to be that clear, guys. But what they're going to do is they're going to take the positions and from these hedge funds and say, we're going to pay the money that you are supposed to pay. Then we're going to route it. That's why you're going to have a lot of suspensions throughout that time. Route it to the brokers so the brokers can pay out these monies, whatever the amounts might be, whatever it may come up to. And then you will continue to go back to work. But now, from now on, you, in a way, work for us. When you make money, you come here, you buy back your position. Otherwise, we have your positions. It's okay. You don't pay, we got everything. That's the difference between 2008 and now. Back then, they just gave out money, and the tax, the common sense, like the investor, like not the common sense investor, but yeah, any of our common sense investors or any citizen, U.S. citizen, paid for that crash with their tax money, um, and therefore and all their benefits. So unless the DTCC comes out to do that, then yes, the answer, in my humble opinion, will be that we will see the market crash and the economy crash for sure as well. Um, or the world economy. Yeah, the world economy is already like garbage. I mean, you already have a few countries that literally, like Greece was one of them, defaulting, literally like going under. And soon you're gonna start hearing like there's many out there that already are, but they're just not reported to us as we speak, like Ryan said earlier up there. I'm recording a new video right now, trying to get it out today. Would like to come with you another time though. Pick a day and I'm in. I can probably get CS trades one-on-one to join too. Yeah, would love to. Yeah, in fact, here, I'll even give you a better one. You make the day, you make the time, and I'll make time for it. Will the dollar lose some of its purchasing power due to the MOAS? Young, the dollar is already losing much of its power, not just because of the MOAS, and the MOAS would hardly have much to do with that. It's simply just because of the coexistence of cryptos and the fact that our country, well, not our country, our federal system continuously keep printing money at their convenience. I mean, when you're printing money, and this is the sad part here, because the dollar that we hold here, like let's say I printed a dollar, then I went ahead and printed another dollar. That first dollar that I printed just lost some of its power because I printed it a second. And what, unfortunately, what we did back in the, it was in the 70s when we went petrodollar instead of going sticking with gold, like what we have offering as far as gold, even though we have a lot of that. Don't forget about Knoxville. We have a lot of that. We always have a hidden, something up our sleeve. But the dollar itself is losing more and more of its value and its power because the federal system keeps printing more and more. Whenever we need money, they keep avoiding the recessions that were supposed to go down in the past few years, and in doing so, they're just prepping us for a much worse drop and a much worse recession that is waiting. That's just been waiting to happen for many years now. In your opinion, will cryptocurrency be at a discount during and after MOAS? I feel like that direction we're headed, society where I don't want to miss out on crypto. Yeah, I've said this a lot, by the way, Young Finest. I do think that, and this is why I'm not like I've gotten rid of all of my positions in the crypto, and it's mainly for a main reason. And this has been like that since the past, like since that. Yeah, I think right after that Dogecoin run up that time, um, I've involved a little bit in day trade activities with Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I've done a lot with Gala as well. I've done it with Cardano, but it's so much easier with the crypto market than the stock market because it's just like as corrupt as what is happening there because it's still not as regulated, and I wish that it stays unregulated. Honestly, this is just my personal opinion. But the day that they regulate it and they put all the X's and Y's on top of it, I think that's where you will see crypto being at its lowest and working its way up from there. I can see Bitcoin being at a really crazy, ludicrous value because it's probably going to be uh, the metric for gold backed by gold. So I can easily see that Bitcoin will be in the hundreds of thousands. Ethereum from a technological standpoint, great blockchain technology, and obviously you see most, if not all, the NFTs are on a Ethereum blockchain. Uh, there's some other cryptos out there that are very good too. Like I said, I'm really high on Gala as well. I love their demo and their model. So I'm high on these guys, but I'm just waiting on that right time to come in. Similar to the GameStop one from today. Man, this is wonderful. What are we reviewing here? So, do you guys have any questions for me? We've done a 2-hour live now. This was fun, as always. I have to definitely. Oh, 1 second. Your thoughts on computer share? I personally don't trust the super stonk narrative about computer share. It just doesn't feel right. I have my shares at Fidelity. Okay, so I addressed this just a little. I think right before you came in, Young Finest. Um, when every time I say your name, I'm gonna just say Finest because I'm not gonna say Young Finest. It just sounds wrong on my end. So my thoughts on it is I didn't do any of that, and I said I was clear with it because there are some scary things that are coming out from the like the DTCC saying and the NSCC, you know, almost furthering themselves away from anyone besides any of the people that they are sponsored to, like the people that they sponsor, which is, for example, Apex. Apex is the money, like is the person that we will go through, and that's the person that they are with. So basically, if you dealt with them, I understand all the payment for order flow problems and all the stuff with Robinhood and Webull and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's covered by the DTCC. So that's something that I like more, and I know if you bought it, I bought it, whether synthetic, paid for payment for order flow, they were gonna do the market maker was bound to do what he was gonna do from the get-go. And I told you guys this, my stance on this, that the guy is standing to get promoted on this. He's getting promoted from doing this rather than being punished. I know it doesn't sit well with you. It doesn't sit well with me, but unfortunately that's the case. Why? Because the system that is dropping, that blockchain, the IEX system that's the Boston market, aka the Boston market. He was one of the entities. The Citadel was one of the entities that helped create that, as far as the DD that I've seen. So if that's completely confirmed and I was not wrong about my DD, then how do you think that someone like that will get punished when the future is already being drawn around him? He's basically becoming he's going into the level of being untouchable or the government's buddy. Again, it doesn't sit well with me, but unfortunately that's the case, and I'm in this solely not to try to incriminate and not to incriminate anyone or whatnot. I'm trying to take care of myself and my loved ones and my family, and hope that the rest of the community all benefit the most from this. In case of a cyber attack, could it potentially be a threat during the MOAS when holding for high numbers, since there's been talks on the media about cyber attacks? That's just them prepping you for that. And yes, here's the crazy thing. I'll give you some more controversy on that. I think that when cyber attacks happen, I think it is powered by these guys, because they simply happen around that same time that they start spinning this to you. So for example, remember when back in 2021 there was that when they hacked into BlockFi wallets, that trading platform, and they took like hundreds of millions of dollars of crypto. It happened more than once, you know. But they were already, in that time, they were preparing us with such articles like you're referring to right now, you know, saying that cyber, and they're gonna hack you and they're gonna take your money and all this stuff. And guess what? If anyone, I do believe, if they do stuff like this, it's them. You know, obviously, I'm not gonna say who exactly, but I do think it's them themselves, and that's part of the way that they play. The good thing about the stock market is that I know that when you're FDIC insured, depending on the broker that you're with, for a certain amount, and your brokers themselves are gonna assure you for a certain amount, but those amounts are high. They're not small. Um, it's not like something that's very 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 little. So and when you get to that point, when you say high numbers, you at that point you will have a lot more on your plate besides just cybersecurity to think about. You will be very mentally pressured about what is in your account and what you like. You'll be at war with yourself before even thinking about cyber attacks. So hopefully that answered it. Remember that the BSTX is not the same thing as Project Ion. Robot Godzilla Citadel is a partner in BSTX, which is based off blockchain. Project Ion is distributed ledger technology. Okay, well, good thing for Pantheon for coming out to say this. So, in your opinion, Pantheon, what do you think? Which system will get you know which system will get adopted and which one they will tap in, because according to our beloved Lou, that has been running weeks ago, since early late February, or from for weeks or for months, as he referred to, according to him. um, so where's your intake on that, Pantheon? What's up, Lord Kong? It is very interesting that that Lou came up and said that, called it the robot Godzilla, uh, but is it the one that you think is going to be the one that's going to be implemented? Because it's going to be until like way 2024 or 2025 before possibly all the other markets subject to the BSTX, similar to the BSTX system. I want to hear this, guys, and then I'll be on my way. As I will let you be on your way. Thank you so much for being here, because, again, it's been almost 2.5 hours in, and I got to go do a few things that are important. So we wait a little bit just to see what, Pantheon says about it. Ah, he did. I just didn't see it right here. Is an option for the BSTX, is an option for a stock exchange like the IEX, or the NYSE. Project Ion Robot Godzilla is by the DTC to oversee all transactions within a T1 plus settlement. Is under testing phase and will concurrent with the existing T+3 settlement process until everyone can switch over. Q3 most likely. Okay, well, this is really, really, really great DD, guys. For any of you that are in here who's watching who haven't known these two things that Pantheon just posted, look at those last two comments. Those two literally, those are very, very Pantheon said Lou is not being clear. It is not active in the markets now. Yeah, of course, he says these things because he wants to gauge uh his following. And here's the thing, I'll tell you guys after I finish saying what I was saying about the T+1 and T+3. So when you're looking at this now, you guys can start gauging a little bit more, saying, oh, okay, possibly by then, that's when we're looking at. So that way you don't go and start FOMO in on crazy options and stuff like that. This is a great reason of why you shouldn't go ahead and do stuff like that without thinking, because when people ask, hey, do you think April, do you think May, or do you think June, sometimes you just got to think even further down the line, just in case, especially if you want to do options or you have that in your mindset. Now, as far as Lou, The last thing that he came out with as of late, when he came out to say that the idea of them holding all the real shares, and or they tagged where the real shares are, and they know what they got to do and all that stuff. If you notice it, guys, now you can see, and this is just from me to you guys, and let's see what your opinions are. If you've noticed, uh, there is there is he's always creating a new, it's kind of like a one of those Avengers movies or Marvel movies. He's always creating a monster, like in this case a story of things that happen and how we're doomed. And then a day or 2 days later, he comes out with the solution. And guess what the solution is? They can't hold this. They can't keep this forever. And it's the same thing again and again and again. So it's, in a way, it's a brilliant, because it comes out in a way as in like, oh yeah, I know something that no other YouTuber know. Well, no shit, you just came out with an idea, but that doesn't make it true. Who's there to verify that it is true that they hold all the real shares and we all hold synthetics? I mean, do you know just the implication on that accusation, of it being true? Do you know how bad this will be for whoever, like the market maker, made that happen? Excuse me. There's no payout for that. Like, this is beyond ludicrous of crazy. But yeah, he come up with the wildest things, and then 2 3 days later he'll come up with the solution, and the solution is always, they can't carry this on forever. Like, I'm telling you, like, hear me on this. The same thing. Oh, this war, yeah, that what Elon, when he starts dumping, when robot Godzilla starts hitting, when Russia inflation starts plummeting, like, he's not giving you anything new. He's creating new stuff, but it's not something that is like, oh wow, okay, that is the truth and that's the way. It's not. It's because the solution is always the same. Um, I did a whole video on this called Project Ion that breaks this all down into very simple terms. Give it a watch to understand difference between blockchain versus distributed ledger tech. Will do, Pantheon. Um, Christy, oh, there you go. Pantheon has excellent information and clear representation. Is that the other videos of anyone hasn't seen them that hasn't seen them? All right. I see you guys have the Pantheon people. You guys have the wolf, meme. So it looks like emoji. It looks like you guys are all, and Ghost was talking about the wolf pack. So that's something that you guys got going on. March 3rd was his misunderstanding because a notice was issued that said a wording change of proposed transparency regulation was in effect immediately. The regulation is still proposed though. Yeah. We, like, as far as what he did, we know, like, when he creates this stuff, and then comes back, the thing is, to me, I would love for him, for anyone out there that has even a platform or a channel, when you start pushing out these things, and you don't own up to it afterwards because something else happened, please don't come out and make a different excuse and say, oh, but this was supposed to happen but it didn't happen because whatever the story is or whatever the situation is. Like, just own up to it and admit it to the community, because you owe it to them. The wolf pack, the wolf is the signal of CS Trades 101 wolf pack. I'm a member of Cam's wolf pack. Okay, good to know. Then I would also look forward to meet CS Trades one day. Yes, they let us know you are live here to support you and your work. Well, much love, Christy. Thank you so much for supporting, and much love to the CS Trades and Pantheon and all the members there. Again, much love to you guys, and all my support goes back out to you as well, guys. As far as all this, I do, again, for the final time, want to thank everyone that came here and was a part of this live. I did not think I was going to be here for 2.5 hours. I thought it was going to be a quick 20-30 minute talk with the community. But guess what? We were here now. Good times fly by fast. I have to go and possibly do some hookah action now and see what else happened throughout the aftermarket and what else other things that happened throughout the market that I need to pay attention to and all that stuff. And perhaps I'll come back with another video later on at night, just talking about some of the things we didn't cover on this live and things that are still happening in the aftermarket. So Pantheon, much love to you. Thank you so much. And for all the people that came here, like the video and subscribed, much love to you guys, and see you in the next time.